It's a little known fact, but football wasn't actually invented in 1992. Before 1992, and before the Premier League, there was something called the First Division, which was exactly the same as the Premier League, except it was called the First Division, which is why it's a bit weird when you hear the phrase Premier League record or in Premier League history. Anyhow, more than a year ago, I did a video on the first 7 teams relegated from the top flight after it was rebranded as the Premier League. Recently, I've seen a couple of requests for me to do the last 7 teams relegated before the rebranding, and since that first video surprised me by quite how many views it got, I decided to oblige. Here are the last 7 teams relegated before the First Division became the Premier League. Where are they now? West Ham. The Premier League. The 1992-93 season was the first season of the Premier League era, which means the first 3 teams in this 7 will be those relegated from the First Division in the 1991-92 campaign. West Ham finished bottom of the league that season under the management of club legend Billy Bonds, although they would bounce back immediately with promotion the following year. The Hammers have twice been relegated since then, bouncing back at the first opportunity on both occasions, and they find themselves 17th in the Premier League at the time of this recording. Notts County. The National League. The biggest fall from grace of any team in this 7, Notts County were relegated from the top flight in 21st place in the 1991-92 season, and they have never bounced back. Neil Warnock had taken the Magpies up from the 3rd Division to the 1st Division, but he couldn't keep them there, and he was sacked following a 17th place finish the following season. The oldest professional football club on earth, and the oldest football league club up until this season, Notts County, have had 2 promotions but 5 more relegations since dropping out the 1st Division. That means they fell into the non-league game for the first time in their history when they went down last season, and they're currently in 6th place in the National League table. Luton Town. The Championship. It's been a pretty wild ride for Luton Town in the almost 30 years since their relegation from the 1st Division. The Hatters were narrowly relegated under David Platt following 3 seasons in which they just kept their heads above the water, and in 1996, they dropped into the 3rd tier. A 3rd relegation followed before 2 promotions back into the Championship before a dreadful mid-2000s. 3 relegations in 3 seasons saw Luton go from playing Championship football in 2007 to Conference football in 2009, and they spent the next 5 years in the non-league game. Luton have won 3 promotions in the last 6 seasons though, and are now fighting for their lives in the Championship. Unfortunately, it is a fight they're currently losing, down in last place at the time of recording. Derby County. The Championship. Taking us back to the penultimate pre-Premier League rebrand season of 1990-91, just 2 teams got relegated back then, and Derby County were the first of the 2. Despite having Peter Shilton in goal and an impressive strike partnership of Dean Saunders and Mick Harford, Derby finished 13 points adrift of Luton in 18th place. Since then, Derby have twice won promotion to and twice been relegated from the Premier League, most recently, with the lowest points tally during the 3 points for a win era. This is now Derby's 12th consecutive season in the Championship as the club looks to navigate EFL charges for breaking spending rules. At the time of recording, the Rams are in 16th place in a tightly congested Championship table. Sunderland. League One. 10 points ahead of Derby but still 3 points behind 18th place Luton, Sunderland were the second team to be relegated from the First Division in the 1990-91 season. They reached an FA Cup final as a 2nd Division side the following season, and then yo-yoed between the 1st and 2nd tiers of English football between 1996 and 2007. Following exactly a decade in the Premier League, Sunderland ran out of great escapes in 2017, finishing last under David Moyes. They then finished bottom of the Championship, dropping down into League One, where they are currently in 6th place, having been losing playoff finalists last season. Millwall. The Championship. The last 2 teams in this 7 take us all the way back to the 1989-90 season, a season in which Millwall finished bottom of the First Division. In the 30 years since, Millwall have never returned to the top flight, flip-flopping between the 2nd and 3rd tiers. Now under the management of Gary Rowett, Millwall are one of a number of clubs chasing a playoff spot this season, sitting in 8th place in the Championship at the time of recording. Charlton Athletic. The Championship. Although Charlton Athletic have historically been a pretty sizable football club, they are currently punching above their weight just by being in the Championship, given the financial restraints Lee Bowyer is having to operate under. Charlton were relegated in the 1989-90 campaign, along with Millwall and Sheffield Wednesday, but unlike Millwall, they did return to the top flight. Twice, in fact. The Addicts spent most of the 2000s in the Premier League, but suffered relegation from the Premier League in 2007, and another relegation this time from the Championship in 2009. Charlton returned to the Championship in 2012 before dropping back down into League One in 2016. Last season, Lee Bowyer guided Charlton to a playoff final victory against Sunderland, and they're now 19th in the Championship, 16 points on the playoffs and 6 points above the bottom 3. That's it for today's 7. Thanks for watching, give us a like if you enjoyed the video, and obviously make sure you're subscribed to HITC Sevens. Also, if you're watching on mobile, just try tapping your screen now. Apparently that is sometimes required to bring up our little subscribe button and a couple of other videos that YouTube thinks you might enjoy.